This missive was written when the Narmada Bachao Andolan was at its peak, when debates on sustainable development were not yet fashionable enough to make it to the mainstream discourse. Today, looking at the interplay of an ecology gone wrong in Punjab, home to independent India's first modern temple, one wonders how long before the state can gather the political will for a course correction. Hello and welcome to the Ministers of Change. I'm Shireen Bhan. This week on the show, we travel through the heart of Punjab to understand why the Green Revolution is not so green anymore.
Unfortunately, Punjab leaders have been very, very self-centered. Food processing industry could have been there in every district of Punjab.
We talk to agronomists and farmers to drop an agri-action agenda.
They accept any good ideas, provided economics. See, there are two pillars of sustainable agriculture, economics and ecology.
We examine if the government's new policies to tackle the current agri-crisis are working.
Large priority for the state government to diversify its agriculture from the traditional wheat paddy cycle. The crops we are looking at are cotton, maize.
And we look at how Punjab is wooing the private sector.
This is the tool for them to coexist.
Driving through Punjab's countryside, it becomes very clear why the state is called the granary of India. Lush green fields of paddy and wheat upon hectares and hectares of land. Punjab is the single largest contributor to the national public distribution system, with food grains from fields like this one contributing 30% to the central rice pool and 50% to wheat.
Punjab is what we call the heartland of the Green Revolution. They took to new technologies like semi-dwarf varieties of wheat and rice, like fish to water. A very enormous enthusiasm. You have to see it to believe it, largely because these new technologies are what we call transformational technologies. They transformed the concept of yield from 1 ton or less per hectare to 5 tons. Was a big jump. It was a revolutionary change. That's why it was called a Green Revolution. Punjab was on the forefront, and today it produces more than 15 million tons of wheat and 16 million tons of paddy, and therefore is a major supplier to the public distribution system in our country. In fact, the PDS will not be able to operate but for the fact Punjab, Haryana and Western UP supply a lot of wheat and rice to the central pool.
The Green Revolution of the 1960s and 70s did have its merits. Farmers were introduced to new technologies and scientific developments. Government focused on stepping up irrigation in the state, and Punjab's farmers became the benchmark for prosperity as the government ensured suitable and assured remuneration for supply of food grain.
Today we are only a grain producing machine without much high level of research input into the grains, because any researcher who used to work on the grain research is treated like a Dalit in any institution, because they think that he is not doing good work unless you are doing research on commercial crops. And this was basically a global design, because food security, food sovereignty is an issue which this country is concerned about, and we can make food production more efficient, more productive through research and technology input, which the state has couldn't do it because they wanted to diversify, and it's a non-grain policies, non-grain production policies, which has resulted into this kind of creating a mess, that we could not move to commercial crops, we could not leave the food grains, and we could not improve the productivity of the food grains.
Since the 1960s, the area under paddy cultivation has increased 10 times and that under wheat 2.5 times. All of this is under the high-yielding varieties that require high degree of investment on machinery and are water-guzzling. And over the years, intensive crop rotation between wheat and rice has given rise to grey patches in Punjab's Green Revolution, and the farmer is the first one to admit it.
पानी दी कोई सहूलत नहीं है, मारू ज़मीना है, ट्यूबवेल दा पानी नहीं सही आ रहा।
इन्हां घरां दी कोई आमदन नहीं हैगी, खेती दी आमदन तां हैगी तां थोड़ी है, ठीक है जी गल।
ਹੁਣ ਪੈਪ ਉਹ ਚੰਗੇ ਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਜ਼ਮੀਨਾਂ ਵੇਚੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਹੁਣ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਖਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਲੋਕ
Against a national average of 40%, almost 85% of the state is under cultivation, of which 97% is irrigated. Most of this irrigation is via tube wells, given populist moves by successive governments of subsidizing power supply, which has led to an arbitrary sinking of tube wells. This has meant the land of rivers is today facing a situation in which groundwater in 8 districts is overexploited and 3 are in the grey zone.
Agriculture development is costing the Punjab a lot. Groundwater has gone very, very low. 300 feet, 400 feet groundwater level has gone down. Now, after 15-20 years, people are worried. What will happen to Punjab? Will it become arid? And paddy being grown on water coming out of the tube wells is consuming lots of water. And Punjab's water resources are getting depleted.
They accept any good ideas, provided economics. There are 2 pillars of sustainable agriculture, economics and ecology. Ecology has gone wrong, economics has gone wrong. Until very recently, until the Farmers Commission, we recommended a minimum support price of C2, that is the total cost of production, plus 50%. Government has not yet done it, but they substantially increased the purchase price of wheat and purchase price of rice, so that today it is at least economical.
Today, rice and wheat have displaced crops like pulses, maize, jawar, groundnut and mustard, crops that were once endemic to Punjab. Today, these crops, which have traditionally been relegated to the background in most parts of the country, have a much better price elasticity or ability to ensure high returns on relatively low investments.
Providing incentives to those crops which are responsive to price. How far can you increase the interest rate without it necessarily impacting the agriculture? Because you see, what happens is that the price of tractors, price of credit increases or becomes more expensive as you increase the interest rate. So when that happens, there is an impact on specifically on the farmer who is trying to diversify. And if he is trying to diversify, the Punjab farmer is a very individualistic farmer. So he will continue with his policy of growing grains unless you give incentive.
Purely from the soil health and water utilization point of view, we should look for alternatives to the present wheat-rice pattern. But the fact is that this wheat-rice is what the rest of the country needs, and this is what the rest of the country pays us through FCI to procure. If the central government helps us by putting an equally efficient and mechanism for procurement of other crops like corn or the maize and other grains and vegetables and fruits, our Punjab farmers are capable of doing anything.
And there is no doubt of that. But the farmer in Punjab today is also very vulnerable, with farmer suicides in the state rising as indebtedness increases. What is crucial now is concerted policy action. On the one hand, the government needs to incentivize farmers to diversify into crops other than wheat and rice. But before it actually does that, it needs to ensure that they have the relevant infrastructure in place. For instance, of the 50 lakh tons of fruits and vegetables that are produced annually in Punjab, only an abysmal 1 to 2% actually make it to the market, and that is due to post-harvest spoilage. On both these counts, that's incentives for diversification as well as the creation of infrastructure, it is private sector companies that are playing an important part. When PepsiCo entered India in 1989, the Indian government had made it mandatory for the company to do contract farming in the country to help farmers improve crop yield through adoption of latest agricultural technologies. Almost 2 decades later, farmers like Surjit Singh Sekho of Jalandhar, one of PepsiCo's first contract farmers, still swears by it. He began by selling pears to PepsiCo in 1989, and since then it's been tomatoes, potatoes and for the last few years, quinoa.
ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਕੰਟਰੈਕਟ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੋਰਟ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਮਿਲਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਈ। ਉਹ ਸ਼ੋਰਟ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੌਂਪਟ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ।
From around 2 lakh acres under contract farming at present, the government hopes to bring about 25 lakh acres under contract farming, and to make contract farming popular and to facilitate optimum use of expensive equipment and implements, the Punjab government has decided to come out with a new law. Still in draft stage, the legislation proposes to bind both companies and farmers to honour the terms of agreement. The new law will also notify certain crops that can be cultivated under contract farming to prevent over-exploitation of resources due to the cultivation of particular crops. Besides this, the government has started subsidizing drip irrigation and is experimenting with farmers' clusters on the potential of crops.
Maize holds a lot of promise in this sector. The area under maize has come down considerably in Punjab. At one time we used to have about 5 lakh hectares under it, now it's only about 1 lakh hectare. The major issue, I think, is after its harvest, the process of drying the maize. So we are installing maize dryers in various mandis of Punjab to help farmers to do that. To encourage fruits and vegetables, we have gone in for creation of post-harvest handling infrastructure in the state in a big way. Apart from the mandis in about 20 towns of Punjab, even in fact there are clusters of villages which specialize in growing fruits and vegetables, and we are putting up pack houses in those centers itself. So we will have a network of about pack houses which are small collection and grading facilities in all over the areas of Punjab, and we are creating larger facilities including a perishable cargo handling center at Amritsar Airport. Similarly, we plan to set up one at Chandigarh Airport, which is now becoming an international airport.
Experts studying agriculture in Punjab believe that the second green revolution will happen outside the farm. That's through the reduction of waste in the supply chain between the farm and the end consumer. Coming up after the break, we travel through Punjab with Bharti Walmart to understand how these backward linkages work. We also find out what the future holds for Punjab's agriculture, with the younger generation staying away from the field.